All right, former Health Minister and NDA ally Anbumani Ramadoss has slammed the centre with the mandatory notification of the pictorial warning of the 85% in all tobacco products. He's now joining us live. So thank you so much for speaking with Headlines today. First and foremost, sir, you've been, you've held this portfolio in the past. Do you think that the government's reversal on this is perhaps a sign of the government succumbing to the tobacco lobby?
Yeah, this is the general apprehension of the general public as well as NGOs who feel that the health ministry has succumbed to the pressures of the lobby. But I am astounded by the explanation given by the health ministry, which has to disposal hundreds of institutions of global acclaim on research. Leaving out all these, they take an advice of a novice member of parliament.
Right.
Who says that there's not been any studies linking tobacco and cancer in India. And I'm really astounded.
Right. So while the government at this time has come out and said that they've only deferred the decision, the fact is that this government currently has been accused of making several U-turns on a lot of issues that the government initially stood for. What exactly, sir, are the reasons the government is citing at this point in time as to why it has delayed this decision?
They're saying the citing reasons saying about the tobacco growers and the BD employees. Today, when 10 lakh people die of tobacco every year in India, it is a duty of the government to take notice, not only notice, but do away with the reason for the deaths. 10 lakh is a huge number of deaths. And tobacco doesn't not only causes cancer, it causes lung disease, heart diseases, brain diseases, kidney diseases, impotency, and so on. There's lots of things to tobacco. The government should be strong enough. I would compliment Harshvardhan Singh on that, because he is the one who has brought out the notification last October, saying that from April 1st, the pictorial warning size should be increased from 40 to 85%.
Right.
And when I was the minister at the helm at the time, I had, in spite of stiff opposition, nearly 120 members of parliament opposed me, 4 chief ministers opposed me, some of my cabinet colleagues opposed me, the entire tobacco lobby took on me.
Right.
But then I was strong enough, we had brought in the legislation at the time, and it stood now. And now we need to move on to the next phase when globally all the countries are doing this. I mean, we don't need an advice of an ignorant member of parliament who absolutely doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right. Also, sir, many have initially, many had hailed the government's move. Many had said that this is a forward-looking move by the government. This is going to act as a deterrent. It's also in line with, what the World Health Organization, in fact, demands. Given the fact that the government had earlier conceded to a move like this, has now taken a few steps back, do you think it's a major loss of face for the government, not just within, people in the country? You've come out and criticized the move of the government, but also internationally.
Absolutely. It is a loss of face for the government, and the government, like, for example, our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has tweeted that tobacco is bad for health. And he has to live up to the words, and he has to pull up the health ministry and says in very certain terms, like, bring out the notification immediately. I mean, there are just some flimsy reasons given, which is not accepted. And also another issue is, like, our members of parliament going on national television and then going to the media, uttering ignorantly some words like, yesterday we had this person says that if you're getting diabetes, don't use sugar. What sort of argument I don't see. So by these utterances, the reputation of India's members of parliament is at stake right now globally.
Right.
So they should stop all these things. Like, we have science. Science is science. And you just can't do away with that. Like. So the government should be serious enough. I urge the Prime Minister to pull up the health ministry and re-notify this immediately, bringing the pictorial warning from 40 to 85%. And India has a signatory to the FCTC, Framework Convention on Tobacco Control.
Right.
And India should be serious enough on this. The WHO and all the other agencies are looking on. And India should lead on this front. When we had 10 lakh deaths every year, I think we should take very severe steps on this.
Right. While, sir, there is evidence of the fact that larger pictorial warnings, in fact, have a larger effect, especially on the youth. And, the fact that the government had, in fact, conceded to this move in the past has gone ahead and delayed this move now. Many are alleging that there are several politicians who are involved in this nexus, so to speak. There are several politicians who are directly or indirectly involved in ownership of tobacco companies. Do you then think that this is perhaps also, as a result of the close nexus between the politicians and the tobacco lobby, that the government is in fact perhaps on the back foot on this issue at this point in time?
Yes, I mean, it is a known fact that lots of tobacco, also the BD industry, are owned by politicians. And when I said, when I was a minister, that 120 MPs opposed this, some of my cabinet colleagues opposed this, chief ministers opposed this, and the tobacco lobby, one of the biggest lobbies in the world. So there is absolutely, it is proven that there is nexus. Plus, any conflict of intellect, we had an MP yesterday who's owning some industry, tobacco industry, and he's been a part of the member of a parliamentary committee. I mean, people like him should be removed from the committee because of conflict of interest. One. Second, about the pictorial warning, India, lots of persons are illiterate persons. So we need these pictures, gory pictures, to warn them, not only warn them, frighten them. And that is the need of the day today.
Absolutely. So given the fact that, there are members of parliament who are talking about the fact that there is no Indian study to prove the ill effects of tobacco, coming out and making such statements in the public, the debate on tobacco's ill health, in a certain sense, is a debate that has ended a long time ago. The countries with enlightened public health policies are focusing on tighter control measures, using, whether it is a combination of higher taxes, enlightened public health services that are provided, awareness, or a ban on advertising. My research is in fact pointing out to me that Australia has gone beyond pictorial warnings and introduced plain packaging that completely eliminates the brand recognition altogether. Do you think that's the direction in which India needs to be heading, and the fact that people in position of power are coming out and making such absurd statements is in fact a very retrograde phenomenon?
Absolutely, and when the entire world is taking on tobacco, and India is the third largest user of tobacco products in the world. So when such huge number of people are using tobacco, it is the duty of the government to take in very stringent measures to counter these. And my argument is the entire tobacco industry in India is worth about 40,000 crores. But the loss to the individual and the government, and loss of active days, and then the treatment costs, all is nearly about 1,15,000 crores.
Right.
So when you take the risk-benefit ratio, there's no benefit as such. Then they say the risk is 3-4 times more than what the entire industry, and then you get a minimal tax on that. So it is just to do away with this industry, and we can have alternate crops.
So how far are the claims? How far are the claims that there is no India-specific tobacco study? So how far are these claims in fact true? Is there any empirical evidence to show that India hasn't engaged in studies depicting the ill effects of tobacco?
I could give you 10 studies myself. I have 10 studies myself about research done in India. And I had written an article in the Lancet, which is supposed to be a Bible, so-called Bible globally, about tobacco research done in India when I was the minister at that time. And ICMR has got hundreds of studies done in India. Tata Institute has got studies done, Adyar Cancer Institute. So many institutions have studies which directly links tobacco, and not only with cancer, but heart disease, lung disease, kidneys, and all these other diseases like so.
Right. Also, so you've held this portfolio in the past. Why is it that this discussion on pictorial advertisement or banning advertisement altogether, or an 80% warning, why is it that this discussion has come down to 2015? So why is it that when you held the portfolio, such a decision could not be made while you had the power to make that decision?
The first time I had brought out something like this, I wanted 50%, when then there was lots of other pressure as well, internal, external pressure.
Right.
So at least to begin with, we had brought out 40%. When globally a lot of countries haven't brought out, we were bold enough to bring out that 40% at least. And so in the sense that in the future it will increase. Like today, it's a good move by Harshvardhan at that time to recommend bringing out 85%. But unfortunately, I feel that the ministry has succumbed to the pressure of the industry.
Right. So thank you so much for speaking with Headlines Today. That was the former Health Minister Ramadoss speaking to Headlines Today, talking about the fact that this delay is in fact in lieu of the government succumbing to the tobacco lobby. He's held the portfolio in the past. He says that there are all kinds of internal and external pressures. Despite that, a 40% warning was in fact something that he had initiated. He strongly encourages and urges Prime Minister Narendra Modi to in fact stick to that 80% warning on all tobacco products, a move that the government has currently delayed. Is it succumbing to the tobacco lobby? Is it hiding under the garb of inadequate Indian research? Is of course questions that remain to be answered. Appreciate you speaking to Headlines Today.